Today we have Marjorie Taylor Greene proposing a Clean Air Act legislation that would block people and make it a felony to spray chemtrails into the air and to conduct weather modifications such as cloud seeding. As we know, if you believe in chemtrails, you're most likely wearing a tinfoil hat. You probably fancy yourself a sovereign citizen, and you most likely are a dangerous criminal. However, if we look at the data, Mr. Dorico of Rainmaker Corporation admits on video that they were in the area of the Texas floods on the 2nd of July, around 48 hours prior to the time of the catastrophic floods that have left around 100 people either deceased or missing. And as far as the chemtrails go, if we look at what Wikipedia has to say, the chemtrail conspiracy theory is the erroneous belief that long-lasting condensation trails left in the sky by a high-flying aircraft are actually chemtrails consisting of chemicals or biological agents. And if we study these things, they're most likely spraying nanoparticles on us, heavy metals, aluminum, and Marjorie Taylor Greene has now put forth legislation to make it a felony to engage in such acts.
This is why legislation to ban weather modification and geoengineering of all kinds. Finally, we can really take the fight in Washington to protect our skies, protect our water, protect our atmospheres, and most of all, protect our fields.
So we appreciate Marjorie for that one, if that's legitimate, and I tend to think it is. We can see we have been bombarded with the spraying and telling us for years that it's all a baseless, fringe conspiracy theory of people that think this is just vapors. Maybe Snoop Dogg was going by and dropped some vapor at the side of his limousine. And as far as the Epstein Act, so Representative Thomas Massie and Representative Ro Khanna have put forth legislation entitled Epstein Files Transparency Act, which will force the release of the Epstein files, and it will restrict the types of redactions that can take place. They will not be able to redact data for frivolous reasons. They will have to release the data unless there is significant danger, significant reason to redact certain files. Further, we have Judicial Watch, who is still pursuing their Freedom of Information Act lawsuit, their FOIA lawsuit against the DOJ and the FBI. This has already been filed, probably last week. You can always view judicialwatch.org to have an update on that. These guys are some of the best people out there. They have sued every presidential administration since their inception back, I believe, in the Clinton era. They are completely nonpartisan. They sue for information that the government does not want us to know about. They're an excellent organization, if you ask me. Yes, we're going to keep fighting. We're not going to forget about this. As I saw one post, anyone who tells me to forget about this and to focus on, Anna Bondi was saying, walk outside and look at all the people who are overdosing from fentanyl. Well, that's pretty tragic. But the folks overdosing from fentanyl, they actually made a choice to ingest said fentanyl. The children who were allegedly kidnapped, molested, or raped is a higher priority in my mind than someone who is on fentanyl. It's not very compassionate to folks who are on drugs because in a society like this one, in a Babylonian debt slavery system like we live in, to recognize by anthropologists for a long, long time, that drug addiction is very prevalent in these type of societies because people don't connect with real spiritual evolutionary experience, genuine ecstatic experience, so they turn to drugs. As a matter of fact, most addicted people are very spiritual people. They're just not finding any meaning in life. Nonetheless, fentanyl overdoses are less of a problem than the rich, elite pedophiles and blackmailing operations, where you have folks like Jeffrey Epstein hanging around with the pervert, formerly known as the Prince of Perverts, Andrew, and influencing our politicians allegedly through blackmailing operations and raping children. So we're going to go ahead and keep thinking about that, regardless of what anyone, including even Trump, has to say about it. Now, I posted recently a Wikipedia article that talks about Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine's father, and his association with the Israeli Mossad. And even Wikipedia admits that he was a Mossad agent. And this little piece of information right here I'd almost forgotten about. But this ex-Israeli spy, Ari Ben-Menashe, also claims Epstein was a Mossad agent. And we have people like Bill Gates, as I exposed last time, and the GOP members attempting to block the release of the Epstein files. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to dispel that one. So Representative Tim Burchett says, let's just find them guilty and hang them publicly. And Mr. Burchett has sent a letter requesting that Miss Maxwell be brought to testify under oath and see what information is produced there. Sounds like a plan. It's just really not a good look for Trump. He doesn't understand why people don't approve of rich pedophiles getting away with murder. Not a good look. Not a good look, sir. And lastly, the other news. The government claims they own your children. I'll read you a case cited right here. The theory upon which the court proceeds in such cases is that the custody and control of the parent over his minor children is a trust committed to him by the state, and this trust is dominated by the supreme guardianship of the state as parent patria of all infants within its border. This is something that came from the king. The king used to claim this right over people, but if you study anything that I do, such as Lansing versus Smith, the people of this state, as the successors of its former sovereign, are entitled to all the rights which formerly belonged to the king by his prerogative. So it's actually right of the people. And this would be more accurately stated as the government, not the state, because the state is the people, the government are the agencies. And to continue with this site, when the parent abuses the trust so as to endanger the welfare of the child in such sort as to hamper or retard its development into a good citizen, the interest of society requires the state to assert its supreme guardianship and protect its ward. You can look that site up right there. Actually, a QR code right there, even faster for you. And a little U.S. Supreme Court site here. That which therefore is unlawful because made so by the supreme law of the Constitution of the United States is not the word or deed of the state, but is the mere wrong and trespass of those individual persons who falsely speak and act in its name. So thank you for your attention to this video. Please like, share, and subscribe and promote this information. Okay.